Welcome to Comfort Havoc number 2. This is the final 2 videos for tonight. Alright. So as you can see, I'm wearing the Scarlet Spider outfit. If you didn't watch my last 4 videos, they're not for children. Go back and watch them. Hopefully I haven't been flagged. And if I have been flagged, well, you're just going to have to wait. I'll do a recap if I've been flagged. So, let's talk shop. As of this weekend, everyone on the planet in certain states have gone totally ballistic over the death of George Floyd. This video is not for children. It will contain contents of a racial endeavor, and I would prefer for you all to sit back and understand the anger that is America right now. Alright, so as you know, if you haven't been watching, and it's all over the news, a young man who's about my age was killed by a cop sitting on his neck. As a martial artist, I know that is a fatal spot and a fatal move to make, and that it is not taught in martial arts these days. I happen to be one of the blessed few who have learned that maneuver. I also know that is not the maneuver that you should ever use unless it's a life or death situation. This was not a life or death situation. This is a situation that went completely awry. Now, we have had these situations before, and police officers were starting to not be allowed to use the rear neck and choke. Now, as a martial artist, I will tell you, first and foremost, pressure points are a thing. A lot of people aren't going to agree with that. They're not going to believe me, and those people can kick rocks. I'm going to try not to swear as much as possible in this video. As a martial artist, I have learned that you have 365 pressure points, and there are 250 that will kill you dead. Some are in your neck. Those 3 bones in your vertebrae that connect your back of your neck to your spine are probably the bones that were probably crushed and severed something in this traumatic event. So, let's address the facts. The facts: 4 officers were involved. Fact: 2 officers were closer to the body. And the other fact is that 1 officer, specifically, had his knee in the guy's back as the guy pleaded that he could not breathe. We weigh this in. And we have to weigh this in because the only thing that they have done so far is fired the 4 officers and charged one of them with 3rd-degree murder. 3rd-degree murder does not carry a long sentence. This is coming on the tail end of another incident down where a young jogger, whose name I can't pronounce, was in a scuffle with 2 white guys, 1 former police officer, 1 other guy who was not an officer of the law, but his father was, and he's the one who was engaged in battle with him, and they shot this young guy. They finally charged the guy recording this thing with a felony account of possible murder or something, I don't recall. However, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to piss off everybody. People react differently to shock. And I personally don't know if the guy recording it knows the 2 guys who pulled the trigger. Or the 1 guy that pulled the trigger and the father who was an ex-cop who knows the law backwards and forward and should have known better than to even let this shit go down. He could have just let the guy go instead of trying to make a citizen's arrest. Because sometimes, and I learned this from my teachers who were cops, sometimes it's better to assess the situation before you do something incredibly stupid. Okay? So thank you to my teachers in my police science and criminal justice classes. Now, if we take race out of the situation, this thing would have gone away. But because in both situations, race plays the most important factor. Alright? We have an ex-cop and his son shooting an unarmed black man. We have 4 cops detaining a black man, but only 1 cop had his knee on the guy's back while the guy was pleading for his life. And then we have all of us. Once this happens, because the guy died out in like the ambulance, whatever, and he died, after they detained him. There was a case like that before. I forgot where, but they had hog-tied a guy and left him inside the back of a paddy wagon. That's what we used to call him back in my day. And he died on the way to jail because he was hog-tied. For those who don't know, that's where your hands are tied behind your back and your feet are also shackled and they're tied to your hands. So whatever unruly incident that guy did, he would die on transport too. We as Americans, and especially men of color, are on the precipice of some really bad shit, as you've seen in all the news and all the other things, which also led to the fussing about things in the group. You know, sorry, trying to formulate my words, because I'm thinking before I speak. You get to a point in time where you've had enough. This happened with the Rodney King beating, the Reginald Denny beating. These things keep happening because either law enforcement's training isn't really good for crisis situations, or some of the law enforcement agents just suck. You know. Again, as a martial artist, I made a movie with my bro, and in that movie, I put my knee on his neck and I broke his neck. I do not have a clip for that, but it's on my Kung Fu Havoc 2 channel. It's on one of my scenes in the Fear Forest when I was doing Guardians of the Earth. In real life, I would never do that. Because in real life, I have been trained with some lethal ordnance. Sorry, my nose is itching. In real life, I have been trained with some lethal ordnance since I was 7 years old. And all my life, I've only had to use martial arts a few occasions that did not involve movies, where real combat was a thing. And I've only used the rear neck and choke maybe 5 times in a fight. And one guy 3 times in one day. So 2 other times prior to that. Maybe more. I don't really remember. I've had a lot of fights. Alright? And the thing is, a chokehold is dangerous. Anything involving the human neck is dangerous. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's the same thing with pressure points. Pressure points are dangerous, and they are very damning. I once had a cop sit on me with the wrong leg and have his hand under my neck, like pushing me this way, but he had his whole forearm under my neck, and he was every bit of 400 pounds. The problem was, as a martial artist, I have been taught how to resist that, and I could have killed him. I had my hand on his gun. That officer knows who he is. He is part of the Albemarle County Police Department. It was a long, long time ago, when I was still a young man. And I had been set up by my cousin, who took a van from his friends. And that's how that happened, out at Wolfie's or Woodrow's, whenever it was out by Putt-Putt. Anyway, it's a long time ago. Point of the matter is, when the cop had me, and he had me pinned, my left hand was on his holster. Because he didn't guard my arms. He grabbed my neck and tried to push me. And I straight told him, I said, well, if I want you dead, all I got to do is move my pinky. Because it's in your trigger wall. And after that, he explained to me that I'm driving a stolen car. So I gave him my wrist. It was done. He set me over there on the wall as the big brother commenced to talking to me. And I told the big brother that if he gets in striking distance, I'm going to kill him. Which another cop told me I shouldn't be making threats. And I told him, well, hell, if I'm going to jail for something I didn't do, I might as well go to jail for something that I'm going to do. Because I'm going to kill all 3 of these guys. As a martial artist, it would have been easily for me to do that. My martial arts is real, people. I know enough that I could hurt somebody severely. Which is why I'm bringing that up. The pressure points between your skull, the back of your skull, and your neck, your 2 shoulder blades meet, those are very bad spots to get hit in. Those are very bad spots to elbow someone in. Sadly, if I get to fighting, those are the spots that I was trained to hit. So when this guy had his knee in that guy's back, I knew right there that was just bad. And I didn't get to see the video live, but for the people recording it, you did a good job. You did a good job at recording that, because I can tell you right now, As a martial artist, that is not the place anybody wants to be. Nobody. You don't want to be in a chokehold this way, and you don't want to be in anything on the back. So yeah, it was definitely murder. You know, I'm not a murder expert. I'm not a cadaver expert, but I know for a fact that if you snap those bones, you can cripple or kill someone. It's just that simple. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Your neck is the most sensitive part of the human body next to your testicles if you are a man. The neck can easily be broken. The human body is durable to an extent, but that also depends on your genetic makeup and how tough you actually are. For a person like me who's been in a couple of fights, I have learned how to protect, but I also have learned that when I take a hit, I'm going to get hit and I need to be able to cover and recover and keep moving. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people aren't like that. We need to take a knee. First, we need to pray for this man and his family, as we've had to pray for other people and their families. In the next video, I'm going to talk about protesting versus looting. Please stay tuned. This is Kung Fu Africa number 2. Be seeing you.